The night was quiet, too quiet. The city had gone to sleep and only the distant hum of street lamps remained. A man walked down the narrow road, hands in his pockets, his steps slow and heavy. His name was Daniel. He was an ordinary man, nothing special in the eyes of the world. But tonight was not going to be ordinary. The wind changed suddenly. Cold air brushed against his skin and Daniel looked up. The sky seemed restless. Clouds rolled fast, covering the stars. He frowned. The weather report had said clear skies, but the heavens told a different story. A strange glow appeared, faint at first, like a candle hidden behind thick fog. Daniel stopped walking. His eyes stayed fixed on the patch of sky that was changing. The glow grew brighter, stretching across the clouds in green and silver lines, twisting as if someone was tearing the night apart. And then, it happened. Something fell. Not a shooting star, not a plane, not anything Daniel had ever seen before. A burning figure cut through the clouds, rushing toward the ground. The sound was deafening, like thunder breaking too close. Daniel's heart raced. He tried to step back, but before he could move, the object slammed down. Right on top of him, Daniel hit the ground with a gasp. Dust rose around him, dirt scattered across the road, and for a moment he couldn't breathe. He blinked hard, expecting metal, fire, or maybe even death. But what he saw was nothing his mind could explain. It was a woman. She lay on him, her body warm but strangely light, as if she carried no weight. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark, a silver shine that looked unreal. Her hair floated like strands of light falling across his chest. But it was her eyes that froze Daniel's heart. They were large, glowing with a pale blue fire, and they looked right into his soul. Daniel tried to speak, but words failed. She didn't move, didn't even try to get up. She just stared at him as if she had known him forever. Who are you?" he whispered at last, his voice shaking. The woman tilted her head, her lips parting slightly. She spoke in a soft, broken tone, the words unfamiliar, yet somehow understandable. "You," she said slowly. "You are Daniel." Daniel's blood turned cold. She knew his name. He had never seen her before, never even imagined someone like her could exist. Yet she spoke his name like it was carved into her memory. "Wait, how do you know me?" he stammered. But before she could answer, a sound cut through the night. A high-pitched hum, mechanical and sharp, echoed across the sky. Daniel turned his head and saw lights moving between the clouds, small, fast, and searching. They looked like machines, their red beam scanning the ground. His chest tightened. They were looking for something, or someone. The woman on top of him finally moved. She pressed her hand against his chest, not with force, but as if asking him not to move. Her glowing eyes flicked toward the sky, then back at him. "They hunt," she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. Daniel's mind spun. Who were they? Why were they hunting her? And why did fate bring her crashing right into his life? The machines drew closer, their hum growing louder. Daniel felt panic rising. He wanted to run, to push her off and escape, but something inside him refused. Her hand on his chest, her strange presence. It felt like more than chance. The ground beneath them shook faintly, and in the distance, a sharp beam of red light cut through the trees, setting them aflame. The hunters were not far. The woman leaned closer, so close he could feel the faint heat from her glowing skin. "You must trust," she said, struggling to form the words, "or we both die." Daniel's heart pounded. He had never trusted strangers easily, let alone strangers who fell from the sky. Yet in her voice, in her eyes, there was something deeper, fear mixed with certainty, weakness mixed with power. He nodded slightly, though he didn't understand why. The woman smiled faintly, as if she had been waiting for that answer. Then, with surprising strength, she pulled him up. The glow of the machines grew brighter, scanning closer, their noise echoing through the night. Daniel's legs trembled as he stood, still trying to process the madness of what had just happened. A glowing woman from the stars, machines hunting, in the sky, and his name spoken by a stranger who shouldn't know him. The night was no longer silent. It was alive with danger. The woman grabbed his hand suddenly. Her skin felt strange, smooth like metal but soft like silk. She looked at him again, her expression urgent. "They come," she said firmly. Daniel swallowed hard, his mind torn between fear and disbelief. But before he could answer, one of the red beams locked onto them. The machines had found their target. The woman pulled him into the darkness, and Daniel realized his life would never be the same again. And above them, hidden in the torn sky, something else stirred. Something bigger. The hunt had only begun. The night turned into a blur of shadows and fear. Daniel's shoes scraped against the ground as the glowing woman dragged him forward. Her grip was firm, stronger than any human hand, yet her touch carried no pain. Behind them, the hum of the strange machines grew louder, their red beams sweeping across the road like hunters searching for prey. Daniel's heart pounded. He had never run like this before. Every breath burned his chest, but he didn't stop. Something about the woman's eyes, something about the way she said "trust," pushed him forward. They rushed into the forest. Branches snapped underfoot, leaves brushed against their faces, and the night swallowed them whole. The machines circled above, their lights cutting through the trees, but for a moment, they didn't see the pair hiding beneath the thick shadows. The woman pulled Daniel to the ground behind a fallen log. She crouched low, her glowing skin dimming as if she could control it. Her chest rose and fell quickly, but her eyes stayed sharp, watching the skies. Daniel tried to speak, his voice shaking. What are they? What do they want from you?" She turned her head slowly, her hair glowing faintly like threads of silver. She studied his face, as if searching for something inside him. Then, in her broken human words, she answered. "They want me. They want you." Daniel's breath caught. "Me? No, I'm just a man. I'm no one." Her eyes narrowed. She touched his chest again, her fingers resting right where his heartbeat thundered. "Not no one. You are Daniel. You are the bridge." "The bridge?" Daniel whispered, confused. "I don't know what that means. I don't even know you. You just fell from the sky, landed on me, and now machines are trying to kill us. Why me? Why do you even know my name?" The woman lowered her gaze, as if the words were heavy. She struggled to speak, but her voice carried truth. "I know you because I was sent to find you. You are chosen. You change everything." Daniel shook his head violently. No, you've got the wrong person. I work at a small shop, I pay bills late, I can't even fix my old car. I'm not someone who changes anything." For the first time, her expression softened. Her glowing eyes seemed almost human as she whispered, "Great change comes from small lives. You are more than you believe." Before Daniel could reply, a red beam cut across the log above them, setting the wood ablaze. Heat licked their faces and the machine's hum turned into a sharp screech. They had been found. The woman sprang to her feet, her hand glowing with strange energy. She raised her palm, and a burst of blue light shot out, striking the beam. Sparks flew, and the machine above faltered, spinning wildly before crashing into the trees. Fire lit the forest. Daniel stared in shock. The woman's powers were unbelievable, like lightning captured in her hands. Yet even as she fought, Daniel noticed her shoulders trembling. Every attack drained her. She was powerful but not invincible. Another machine swooped down, its claws snapping like steel jaws. Daniel ducked, his heart hammering, but the woman stood firm. She flung another bolt of light, sending the drone crashing into the dirt. For a moment, silence returned. Smoke curled in the air and Daniel's chest heaved as he tried to catch his breath. The woman turned to him, her glow weaker now. "We must go. More come." Daniel nodded numbly, his mind spinning. Who was she, really? And why did she believe he mattered? They ran deeper into the woods until the machine's lights faded behind them. Finally, they stopped near a small clearing. the ground damp with fallen leaves. The woman dropped to her knees, her glow dimming further. Daniel crouched beside her. "Are you okay?" She nodded slowly, though her breathing was heavy. "Earth weakens me. Atmosphere, not mine." Daniel looked at her with wide eyes. "You're dying, aren't you?" Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Not yet. Not if you help." "Me again?" Daniel groaned. "I don't understand what you want from me." She raised her head, her glowing eyes steady even through the weakness. "I want you to live. If you live, hope lives." Daniel's throat went dry. She spoke with such certainty, as if his survival was tied to something far greater than himself. A rustle in the bushes made him turn sharply, fear flashing in his eyes. But it wasn't a machine this time. It was a deer startled by their presence. Daniel exhaled slowly, but the tension in his body didn't fade. The woman leaned closer, her voice soft. "Listen, I know your name, because I have seen your face. In visions. Long before I came here, you are the one who decides if Earth stands or falls." Daniel felt cold all over. "That's impossible. I'm not a hero. I'm not anyone important." She reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. Her strange silver skin was warm against his. "Heroes never think they are, until the moment comes." Daniel stared at her, his heart torn between fear and disbelief. The machine still hunted above, the forest burned in places, and the night felt alive with danger. Yet here, in the middle of chaos, a stranger from the stars spoke to him, like he mattered more than the entire planet. And though he didn't understand, part of him wanted to believe her. The silence was broken by a loud metallic roar from above. The sky glowed red again. The hunters were not done. The woman stood, her glow flickering back to life. She looked at Daniel with fierce determination. "They come again," she said. "This time, you must run with me." "Not from me." Daniel swallowed hard, his fear mixing with a strange spark of courage. He didn't know where this was leading, but he knew one thing for certain. Nothing in his life would ever be normal again. The night was just beginning. The forest was no longer quiet. The sound of burning branches crackled in the distance, mixed with the sharp metallic hum of the hunters above. Daniel's legs ached from running, but he forced himself to keep moving. The woman pulled him with surprising strength, her glowing skin flickering like a fading light bulb. Daniel's mind screamed for answers. Who was she? Why was he the bridge? And why did those machines want him dead? But the questions had to wait. Survival came first. A sudden beam of red light sliced down from the sky, burning through the trees like a hot knife. The air turned thick with smoke. Daniel stumbled, coughing, but the woman pulled him upright before the fire reached them. "Run faster," she said, her words short and sharp. Daniel wanted to yell that he wasn't built for this, that he was just a man, not some soldier. But when he looked into her glowing eyes, he found no space for argument. She wasn't asking. She was demanding. Another machine swooped low through the trees, its claws snapping open like the jaws of a steel predator. Daniel froze, panic locking his body. The woman shoved him aside and raised her hand. A flash of blue light exploded from her palm, striking the machine's side. Sparks flew, metal screeched, and the hunter crashed into the dirt, sending leaves and soil into the air. Daniel gawked. Her power was beyond human, beyond anything he thought possible. Yet when she lowered her hand, her shoulders sagged. She was growing weaker. Every attack drained her. 3 more hunters appeared in the sky, their red beams cutting through the forest. Daniel's heart nearly stopped. "There are too many." The woman's jaw tightened. "Then, we run." And so they did. Branches whipped at Daniel's face as he stumbled through the undergrowth, lungs burning. He had no idea where they were going, only that the hunters were right behind them. The woman darted ahead like a streak of silver light, then slowed just enough to pull Daniel along. She wasn't leaving him, even though it would be easier to run alone. A deafening blast struck the ground near them, throwing Daniel off his feet. Dirt and rocks rained down. He groaned, clutching his side as pain spread through his ribs. The woman knelt beside him instantly, her glowing hair falling across his face. "Get up," she urged. I can't, Daniel gasped, her hand pressed against his chest, warm and steady. Yes, you can. Her voice carried such force that Daniel found himself moving again, even though his body screamed for rest. He staggered to his feet, and she pulled him forward just as another beam scorched the ground where he had fallen. The hunters were merciless. Suddenly, they reached a cliff edge. The ground dropped sharply into a rushing river below. The water glistened in the moonlight, wild and fast, crashing against jagged rocks. Daniel froze. We can't go down there. We'll drown. The woman turned to face him, her glowing eyes fierce. Better to drown than burn. Before Daniel could argue, one of the hunters descended behind them, claws clicking, red lights glaring. The woman grabbed his hand and leapt. For one terrifying moment, Daniel felt weightless. The world spun, the roar of the river filled his ears, and then, impact. Cold water swallowed them. Daniel's lungs seized as the current pulled him under. He fought to surface, kicking wildly, his chest burning for air. The woman's hand never let go of his. Her glow dimmed beneath the waves, but she guided him through the chaos. Finally, they broke the surface. Daniel coughed and gasped as the current dragged them downstream. Rocks scraped his arms, but he kept moving, clinging to the woman's hand. The hunters circled above, but the forest canopy now shielded the river, hiding them from the machine's red beams. After what felt like forever, the current spat them out onto a muddy bank. Daniel collapsed on the ground, gasping, his clothes soaked and heavy. The woman crawled beside him, her glow faint and flickering. Daniel turned his head, struggling to breathe. Are they gone? She nodded weakly. For now. Daniel pushed himself up on his elbows, his chest still heaving. He looked at her closely. Her once bright skin now shimmered faintly, like a dying ember. She was running out of strength. You saved me, he whispered. She shook her head slowly. No, you saved yourself. You ran when I told you. That is why you live. Daniel frowned. I didn't run for me. I ran because you didn't let go. For a moment, silence filled the clearing. The woman's glowing eyes softened, and she looked at him with something almost human. Gratitude. But the silence didn't last. A low rumble echoed in the distance. The hunters were regrouping. Daniel's stomach twisted. They're coming back, aren't they? The woman nodded. Yes, they will not stop. Not until I am gone. And you with me? Daniel shivered. He had no idea why he mattered to them, but one thing was clear. His old life was gone. The quiet nights, the shop, the bills, it all felt like another world now. He was part of a chase he didn't understand, running beside a woman who wasn't even human. And as the rumble of machines drew closer again, Daniel realized something that chilled him more than the cold river ever could. This was only the beginning. The forest was damp and silent again, except for the sound of Daniel's heavy breathing. His clothes were wet from the river, his body sore from the endless running, but what weighed on him most was confusion. Why him? Why was this alien woman, this stranger, risking everything to keep him alive? The woman sat nearby, leaning against a mossy rock. Her glow was faint, like a candle ready to go out. The river had washed away the blood and dirt from her face, but exhaustion clung to her features. She looked less like a goddess from the stars now and more like a fighter carrying too many wounds. Daniel finally broke the silence. I think I deserve some answers. His voice was rough but steady. The woman lifted her head. Her glowing eyes studied him, not with annoyance but with thought, as if she had been waiting for this question. She nodded slowly. You do, she said softly. Daniel leaned forward. Then tell me, who are you? Why do those machines want you dead? Why do they want me dead? And why, out of everyone on this planet, did you fall on me? The woman closed her eyes for a moment, drawing in a shaky breath. Then she spoke, her words broken but clear enough for Daniel to understand. My name is Alira. I come from a world far beyond your stars, a world once filled with light, but now only war. Daniel frowned. War? She nodded, her voice carrying both sorrow and fire. Two races, mine and theirs. She gestured toward the sky, where the hunters still roamed in the distance. We fought for centuries. Worlds burned, planets died, and now, Earth is next. Daniel's stomach twisted. Earth? What do you mean? What does your war have to do with us? Alira's eyes glowed faintly brighter as she looked at him. Because Earth is more than it knows. This planet is not only stone and water, it is a key. A place of balance. Whoever controls it controls the path of the future. Daniel's head spun. That makes no sense. We're just people. We argue about bills and politics and phones that break too soon. We're not some key to the universe. Illyra leaned closer, her voice sharp with certainty. You are more. Your people are more. You do not see it, but others do. That is why they come. That is why they hunt. If they control Earth, hope dies. If Earth resists, hope survives. Daniel swallowed hard. The words felt too big, too heavy. He wasn't ready to carry them. But a part of him couldn't shake the truth in her voice. He stared at her, his voice cracking. And me, why me? Why did you know my name? Illyra's gaze softened. Because you are not random. You are chosen. Long before I fell, I saw your face. Visions showed me Daniel, the one who bridges two worlds, human and beyond. Daniel laughed bitterly, though fear edged his voice. I'm no bridge. I'm a guy who stocks shelves at a corner shop. I can barely pay rent. If you want a hero, you picked the wrong man. But Illyra didn't flinch. She touched his arm gently. Her strange silver skin warmed despite her weakness. Heroes never think they are ready. But fate does not wait for readiness. Fate calls, and you must answer. For a moment, Daniel couldn't look at her. The weight of her words pressed down on him. He wanted to deny it, to push it away. But deep inside, a small voice whispered that she might be right. The silence was broken by a distant roar in the sky. Daniel tensed, but Illyra raised her hand, calming him. Not yet. They search elsewhere. We are safe for a moment. Daniel exhaled, but his chest still felt tight. So, what now? If your enemies want to burn Earth, and if I'm supposed to be this bridge, then what do we do? Illyra's eyes locked on his, glowing brighter now, filled with determination. Nope, you must learn. You must know what lies inside you. Daniel blinked. Inside me? Yes, she said firmly. You think you are ordinary, but you carry something rare. A signal, a spark. My people call it the resonance. It chooses only once in many lifetimes, and it chose you. Daniel's heart hammered. You're saying I have powers? Illyra shook her head. Not power, potential. It is not strength of arm. It is strength of choice. What you decide, others will follow. You can unite or you can fall. That is why they fear you. Daniel sat back, his mind reeling. He had never felt less like a leader. And yet, as her words echoed in his ears, he realized something terrifying. Those machines weren't after her alone. They were after him too. Because of what he might become. A sharp crack split the air, pulling them both to their feet. Daniel's stomach dropped. From the trees ahead, a red beam cut through the darkness, burning the ground. The hunters had found their trail. Illyra rose quickly, her glow flaring brighter despite her exhaustion. She looked at Daniel with fierce resolve. The time for hiding ends, she said. Now, you must choose run or stand. Daniel's throat went dry. He didn't feel ready. He didn't feel strong. But for the first time in his life, he realized the choice was no longer just about him. And as the hunters drew closer, Daniel understood that the secret Illyra revealed wasn't only about Earth, or the war, or even the resonance. It was about him. The night air was cold, carrying the smell of smoke from the burned forest behind them. Daniel and Illyra had escaped the hunters again, but the danger still lingered in the shadows. They walked until their legs trembled, until the river was far behind, until the forest grew thicker and darker. At last, they stopped near a small cave hidden between the roots of ancient trees. Daniel collapsed onto the damp ground, his chest rising and falling as he tried to catch his breath. Illyra stood near the entrance, her glowing skin faint like a dying ember. For the first time since she had fallen on him, silence felt almost safe. Daniel leaned against the stone wall. His clothes were still wet, his body sore, but his mind wouldn't stop racing. He stared at Illyra's glowing outline. She looked otherworldly, yet fragile at the same time. Finally, he broke the silence. You saved me again back there. Illyra turned, her pale blue eyes catching the faint moonlight. We saved each other. Alone, I would have fallen. With you, I still stand. Daniel gave a short laugh. That's hard to believe. I was the one slowing you down. You fight machines with light blasts. I trip over roots. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. Strength is not only in the hand. Sometimes, it is in the heart. You have more than you think. Daniel looked away, embarrassed. Compliments were rare in his life, and from her they felt heavier, more real. A long silence stretched between them. The forest outside creaked with the wind, and somewhere in the distance an owl called. For a moment it almost felt normal, like two strangers taking shelter from the rain. But nothing about this was normal. Daniel cleared his throat. You said I'm the bridge, that I have something inside me. But what if you're wrong? What if I'm just a man who got lucky when you landed on me? Elira stepped closer, kneeling down so her glowing eyes met his. It was not luck. My visions never lie. You doubt because you are human. But it is your doubt that makes you strong. My people, we are certain in everything, but certainty can blind. You see weakness in yourself. That is why you can change. Her words sank deep into him. He didn't want to believe them, but something about her voice, her calm certainty, made him want to try. Daniel's gaze softened. You talk like you've known me forever. Elira's eyes flickered, sadness brushing across them. In my visions I did. Many times I saw your face. I thought I knew you. But now, seeing you here, you are different. More human than I imagined, more alive. The way she said alive sent a strange warmth through him. He shifted awkwardly. So visions told you about me? What else did they show? My death? Elira's glow dimmed. She lowered her gaze. Visions show many paths. Some end in fire. Some end in hope. I do not know which is yours. That choice is yours alone. Daniel swallowed hard. He wanted to press her, but he saw the exhaustion in her face. She was weakening, and still she carried the weight of her people's war. He changed the subject. You said this planet makes you weaker. Why? Elira leaned back against the cave wall, her glow flickering. My body is made for different skies. My energy burns brighter on my world. Here, it fades. Every breath takes more. Every battle drains faster. Soon I will not fight as I should, Daniel frowned. So you're dying? She gave a soft laugh. Not yet. Not if you stay with me. Not if you keep hope alive. Daniel felt a lump in his throat. He had never been anyone's hope before. The fire they had lit in the cave crackled quietly, throwing warm light across their faces. Daniel reached into his soaked jacket and pulled out a crumpled pack of crackers, his emergency snack. He offered it to her with a shrug. Not exactly space food, but it's all I've got. Elira tilted her head curiously, then took the cracker and examined it like an artifact. She sniffed it, then cautiously bit into it. For a second, her eyes widened. This is strange, she said slowly. Daniel chuckled. Yeah, that's what we call cheap human food. Elira chewed carefully, then smiled faintly. Strange, but good. For the first time, Daniel laughed freely. The sound echoed softly in the cave. For a brief moment, the weight of the universe lifted, replaced by something simple. Two people sharing food, laughing in the dark. Their bond was growing, even if Daniel didn't fully understand it. But outside, the forest whispered of danger. Somewhere far above, the hunters searched, patient and merciless. Elira finished the cracker, her glow slightly stronger now. She looked at Daniel, her eyes serious again. You must rest. Tomorrow the hunt grows worse. They will not stop. Daniel nodded, lying back against the stone. His eyelids felt heavy, but his mind was alive with questions, fears, and something else he couldn't name, a connection he hadn't felt in years. As he drifted toward sleep, his last thought was not of fear, but of her Elira, the alien who had fallen on top of him, who knew his name, who believed he was more than he ever thought he could be. And in the quiet cave, under the cold stars, Daniel realized he no longer wanted her to leave, not now, maybe not ever. Morning came, but it did not bring peace. The forest was still, almost too still, as if the world itself held its breath. Daniel woke to the sound of Elira moving near the cave entrance. She stood with her hand raised toward the rising sun, her glow faint but steady. Daniel rubbed his eyes and sat up, his body sore from the endless running. You didn't sleep, did you? Elira shook her head. Sleep is weakness now. They are close. Her words chilled him. He stepped outside the cave, the damp air cold against his skin. For a moment the forest looked beautiful, sunlight breaking through the trees, mist curling above the ground. But beauty meant nothing when death hunted from the skies. A low hum broke the silence. Daniel froze. He knew that sound now, the hunters. Elira's eyes snapped upward. They found us. Before Daniel could react, the trees exploded. Red beams cut through the trunks, sending wood and fire flying. Machines swooped down from above, their claws open, their red eyes glowing. Daniel's heart pounded. There were more of them now, at least 6 hunters circling like vultures. Elira stepped forward, raising her hand. Blue energy burst from her palm, striking one drone and sending it crashing into the ground. Sparks lit the air. Daniel shielded his face from the blast, but the others attacked. Claws slashed through branches, beams scorched the ground, and the forest turned into a battlefield. Daniel ran, ducking behind trees, but the hunters followed with perfect aim. "Elira!" he shouted, panic in his voice. She moved like lightning, her body glowing brighter as she fought. Every movement was fierce, every strike filled with fire. She blasted one drone out of the air, spun, and struck another with a burst of energy. For a moment, Daniel thought she was unstoppable. But then he saw it, her knees buckling, her glow flickering. She was burning herself out. One of the hunters dove straight at Daniel. Its claws spread wide, ready to tear. Daniel froze, fear locking his legs. At the last second, Elira threw herself between them. The claws tore across her shoulder, sparks of blue light spilling from her wound. She screamed, her voice sharp and filled with pain. Daniel's world stopped. She had taken the hit for him. "No," he cried, rushing to her side. Blood, if it could be called that, glowed faintly from the wound. She staggered, her body trembling, but she stayed on her feet. "Run," she whispered. "I'm not leaving you," Daniel shouted. The hunters circled again, their beams glowing brighter, preparing for a final strike. Daniel's chest tightened. Fear crushed him, but something else burned beneath it. A spark he couldn't explain. He remembered her words. The resonance. The bridge. Potential inside him. He clenched his fists. No, not this time. The lead hunter dove, claws slicing through the air. Daniel raised his hand without thinking. A surge of heat shot through his arm into his palm, bursting outward in a wave of blue light. The drone exploded mid-air. Daniel gasped, staring at his own hand. It glowed faintly like Elira's. The spark was real. Elira's eyes widened even through her pain. Yes, it wakes. The hunters shrieked in unison, their red lights flashing. They rushed all at once. Daniel stood in front of Elira, fear still in his chest but fire burning brighter. He raised both hands and energy surged again, raw and wild. The blast ripped through the forest, striking 2 hunters and sending them crashing to the ground. Daniel staggered back. The power draining him, but he didn't stop. He roared, pushing forward, his fear turning into fury. Another burst shot from his hands, knocking a drone into the trees. Elira fell to her knees, watching him. Her lips curved into a weak smile. "You see now, you are not ordinary." Daniel's chest heaved, his hands shaking, but his eyes blazed with determination. "If they want me, then they're going to regret it." The last 2 hunters swooped low, beams firing. Daniel dove forward, dragging Elira with him as the ground exploded behind them. He pushed her into cover and turned back, raising his hand one final time, but nothing came. The spark had burned out. The hunters closed in, their red eyes gleaming. Daniel clenched his teeth, ready to fight with nothing but his fists. Then Elira rose beside him, her glow returning for one last strike. She pressed her hand against his, their energy merging. Together they unleashed a massive burst of light. The blast consumed the hunters, ripping them apart in a shower of sparks. The forest shook, the trees bending from the force, and then silence. The battlefield was still. Smoke drifted through the air. The hunters lay broken, their metal bodies scattered. Daniel collapsed to his knees, gasping. His hands still tingled with heat, his body trembling from the effort. Beside him, Elira sank to the ground, her wound bleeding faintly. "You fought," she whispered. "You awakened. You are the bridge." Daniel looked at her, his chest tight. "You nearly died for me. Why?" Her glowing eyes softened. "Because I believe in you." Daniel swallowed hard. The bond between them had grown stronger in fire and blood. He wasn't just running anymore. He was fighting for her, for himself, maybe even for Earth. But as he looked up at the sky, his relief turned cold. Far above, the clouds split open again. A massive shadow moved beyond the smoke, bigger than the hunters, heavier, an army waiting. The battle was not over. It had only just begun. The smoke of broken hunters still hung in the forest air. Daniel stood over the wreckage, his chest heaving, his hands trembling with the memory of the power that had burst from him. Beside him, Elira lay weak, her glowing wound slowly fading into silence. But the sky was not silent. Above the trees, the clouds split apart again, and this time, something larger descended. A ship, black as night and wide as a mountain, broke through the sky. Its engines roared like thunder, and its red light spread across the ground like a giant shadow swallowing everything. Daniel's heart sank. "An army," he whispered. Illyra forced her head up. Her eyes glowed faintly, filled with both pain and warning. The hunters were only the beginning. "Their masters come now." Daniel looked at her wound. Her glow flickered weaker with every breath. "You can't fight them, not like this." Her lips curved into a sad smile. "Not me, you." Daniel froze. "No, I barely survived that last fight. I don't even know what I did. The power, it comes and goes. I can't control it." "You don't need control," she whispered, her voice soft but fierce. "You need choice. The resonance lives inside you, waiting. It grows with courage. It answers when the heart decides." Daniel clenched his fists. He wanted to believe her, but doubt gnawed at him. He was just a man. No training, no plan, no chance. Against an army, what could he do? The massive ship lowered closer. From its belly, hundreds of red lights flared. More hunters, more machines. An unstoppable wave. Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to run, to hide, to give up. But then he looked at Illyra, the woman who had fallen from the stars. The woman who had bled for him, fought for him, believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. Her eyes locked on his. "The universe thinks humans are small, weak, forgettable. Show them they are wrong. Show them what you are." Daniel's chest burned. Fear still lived in him, but something else rose stronger. Anger, fire, defiance. He was tired of running, tired of being nothing, tired of being told he was ordinary. He stood tall, his voice steady for the first time. "If they want Earth, they'll have to go through me." Illyra's glow brightened faintly, her lips curving into a smile. "That is the choice." The ground shook as the first wave of hunters dropped from the ship. Their claws clanged against the earth, their red eyes glowing like blood. Dozens of them surrounding the clearing. Daniel felt the spark return in his chest. His palms tingled with heat. He raised his hands and light burst from them. Wild, raw, alive. The hunters attacked. Daniel charged. The battle was chaos. Red beams cut through trees. Claws slashed at the air. Explosions ripped the ground apart. But Daniel fought with fury. The resonance pulsed inside him, answering his will. Every time he thought he would fall, the spark returned stronger. He blasted one hunter into pieces, spun and slammed another with a wave of blue fire. He roared as he fought, his voice carrying through the burning forest. Illyra, though weak, joined him. She guided his hands, showing him how to focus the energy. Together, their light combined, creating shockwaves that sent hunters crashing into the dirt. But the numbers kept coming. For every drone destroyed, 2 more descended. Daniel's body shook with exhaustion. His arms ached, his chest burned. He could not hold on forever. One hunter broke through, slashing its claw toward him. Daniel braced for pain, but Illyra threw herself in front of him again. The claw pierced her side. She gasped, her glow flickering. Daniel caught her as she fell. "No, stay with me." Her eyes, dim but gentle, met his. "Do not stop if I fall. You must rise. That is the human way." Daniel's throat closed. He wanted to break, to collapse, but her words lit something inside him. Humans fall, but they rise. Again and again. He stood, his hands burning brighter than ever. Rage and love fused into fire. He unleashed it all in a single wave. The explosion tore through the clearing, blinding light consuming everything. Hunters shattered, trees bent, the ground itself trembled. For one breathless moment, it was as if the sun had risen inside the forest. When the light faded, silence returned. The hunters were gone, their wreckage scattered like ash. The massive ship above trembled, engines failing, then retreated into the clouds. Daniel dropped to his knees, gasping, drained. His hands shook, his body heavy, but the spark inside him still glowed faintly. Alive. Illyra lay against the ground, weak, but breathing. Daniel lifted her gently, his voice breaking. "It's over. We won." She smiled faintly, her glowing eyes soft. "No, you won. Humanity won. You showed them what humans are." Daniel's chest tightened. "I only did it because of you." Her hand touched his cheek, warm and trembling. "And I only lived because of you. That is the bond. That is why I will not leave. Your world is my home now." Daniel held her close, the weight of her words sinking into his heart. He wasn't ordinary anymore. He wasn't just Daniel from the corner shop. He was the bridge, the proof that humanity could stand against the stars. But as he looked up, his relief faltered. The clouds above still swirled. Shadows still moved in the sky. The retreating ship was only the first wave. The war was not finished. It was only waiting. Daniel tightened his grip on Alira. His voice was steady, filled with fire. Let them come. This time Earth will be ready. And for the first time in his life, Daniel believed it.